Okay, we're gonna basically remove the consumer good penalty from this. It's just gonna be the political power loss. We're only getting 0.5, which is not that good. Who do we want to actually have win the election? Because you are the Christian Democrat Party, you are the Nationalist Union, and I'm assuming you are the Social Democrats. A civilian, more stability, a welfare state. But I believe this is going... Better power of the monarchy, common people. I'm assuming this is going towards joining the Internationale. Which I'm assuming is going to be bad for us, because we'll probably just get immediately invaded. Seems like a bad thing to me. Go for the LTS. Go to the Christian Democrats. Well, you know what? Let's have an early while we're just waiting for things to pass here. Let's do a quick poll. I do like being able to do these polls in Twitch chat. 1937. So we got the Social Democrats, the Christian Democrats, or the Nationalist. Who is going to win the election? We got 5 minutes to vote in chat. And then we'll see who comes out. I'm going to allow Twitch chat to decide how this, you'll be the Lithuanian people. Okay, so we're going to go for Concentrated Industry 1. Today you are all Lithuanian. Could get 5 more divisions. You are not a great army. You're also not great. You're actually all pretty much bad. You're the Garrison template. Well, let's slowly make you less garbage. Let's at least make you into a nice 20 combat with unit. We're probably going to be missing some guns. We're going to be missing some manpower as well. I mean, actually, only missing 850 guns isn't that bad. Okay, the Najido Vilna by-election. A few days ago, the central deputy of the Semias of the Kingdom of Lithuania has passed away, leaving only a single underage daughter, Marija. According to the electoral law, by-elections have to be held in her constituency, also known as Novo Vilnius. It's a distant eastern suburb of our capital, Vilnius, inhabited almost completely by Polish and Russian minorities. Traditionally, even the Committee of Lithuanian Poles has hesitated to challenge Eliska in her constituency, as a humble, soft-spoken doctor was beloved by the people of all ethnicities in the suburb. With his passing over, it has enthusiastically put forward John Podolski, brother of the famous hero of the Polish people in the Weltkrieg, as her candidate. Unsurprisingly, he is supported by an absolute majority of the Polish-speaking population, while the Lithuanian parties of the Nationalist fear the lockdown of yet another safe KPL constituency. A plan has been proposed in the headquarters of the Christian Democrats Party to prevent this fate from following the National Vilna constituency. While it should not be allowed to redraw constituent borders so close to the date of the election, it is not illegal per se. And the idea of a carefully carved out new borders for the constituency, including non-Polish neighbors in the constituency, to balance out the Polish vote. At the same time, a smear campaign will make sure that the Belarusians, Russians, and Lithuanians do not cast a single vote for Podolski, which should ensure a victory for the Christian Democrat candidate, Anthnwam Spolski. This will definitely not be a popular move, but yet another Polish parliamentarian will make minority even more unruly. You know, we'll keep our democracy for now. We're at 33, 33, 33. Excellent. I'll have this open just so we can kind of look. True democracy. Nationalist Union rallies. The news of growing Bundas influence in the Vilnius industrial hub and other major cities have begun to arouse major dissent amongst the population. This dissent is first and foremost raised by the Lithuanian Nationalist Union, the LTS. For deputies in the Smias, most notably Antas Smetona, have begun speaking out against the transition of industry in Vilnius, and have lodged bill after bill trying to break this monopoly. Younger, more active and frustrated members of the party have taken matters in their own hands, however, and started organizing mass protest rallies across cities such as Kans, Smalia, and Vilnius. Their anti-Semitism is thinly veiled, if hidden at all. These nationalists call for Lithuania for Lithuanians, and their marches, more often than not, devolve into violence, such as vandalism of Jewish or German owned shops, and in some cases direct assaults against peaceful citizens. The following sparked harsh reactions from the constabularies. Several of the most radical activists were detained, while additional police officers were dispatched to ensure order in the cities. Immediately upon the conclusion of this nationalist fervor, eyes were turned towards the leaders of the Nationalist Union, Anthnwam and Augustus Voldemaras. Both of them handled the situation tactfully, however. Spetos publicly announced the actions of what he described as loose cannons barely affiliated with the party. Voldemaras was under police investigation due to suspicions of having a hand in these actions, but they were cut short, and Voldemaras himself expressed his support for the stance of his party's leader. So we get a little bit of damage, but National Position gets a little bit more popular. We still got... To be honest, in 1924, there's been all anti-social part campaigns in, Look, we just need one more person in Twitch chat. One person in Twitch chat to break the tie. Okay, loosen trade restrictions. The Palka Agreement. In 1920, the first democratically elected government of Lithuania was forced to sign a punitive agreement regarding the trade flowing in and out of the country. According to the term of the agreement, all Lithuanian foreign trade must flow through the ports of Memel, Libau, and Riga. All three of these are controlled by Germany and its ducal puppet state. The agreement also stipulated harsh restrictions on the type of production which was allowed to be traded within the ports, and several types of tolls. Ultimately, it means that Lithuanian foreign trade is severely restricted and reliant on German whim. One of the campaign promises of Lena Bitras and the LKPD was to renegotiate the agreement and carve Lithuania out of a window of the West. And now they're ready to act upon this promise. Pilka, Lithuania's sole town on the coast of the Baltic Sea, holds the potential for becoming an adequate port, but only Germans allow ease restrictions on local docks and shipbuilding. While preparations for the diplomatic missions are ongoing, our ambassador of the German Empire, Jürgen Silvius, offers support for the form of contacts among German business and diplomats. Of course, this would come with a price. Yeah, perfect split, which I believe now means that there has to be a civil war in Twitch chat. Okay, so, what can I do to break this tie? Can I get the, where's that spinning wheel thing? Yeah, bring in the spin wheel. Categories. Our three categories are going to be the conservatives, social democrats, and the nationalist. But we got this ugly looking wheel. It should be roughly the same no matter like what. I don't know how do I get it to spin though? The way to make it spin, I don't remember. It's time for the wheel of randomness. But I don't remember how to actually make it spin. I've done it before. Do I have to... How do I make it spin? I don't remember. I filters properties. Categories, font, border, center image. Just spin the wheel. That's so hard. Click on it. Does anything. I think this would be easier. But I don't... Okay, you know what? Get this mouse wheel off this... Get the wheel off the screen. Is there like a dice that I can do? Star viewer count. Okay. I'm just gonna spin a... Okay. Random number 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're gonna generate a random number. It got 2. But we're gonna click on it. Okay, and start. And stop. Okay, it's still 2. So it looks like the Christian Democrats have won the election. Lithuanian democracy is cursed. Look. The Christian Democrats, I mean, you can't see the number, unfortunately. I probably should have put it on the screen, but it was 2. So we're gonna go for the second path, which is the Christian Democrats. They've won. If people in Twitch chat could have came up with an actual consensus, we could have had a real election, but... The Polygon Agreement. Several days of intense negotiation between the Lithuanian and German delegation have passed, and despite negotiations from a weaker position, our delegates have triumphed. Surprisingly, their German peers were passive, agreeing to several of the quests which had initially been thrown forward as a half-joke, and ultimately, the summit concluded with the Germany agreeing to lift restrictions on our naval trade. Upon the conclusion of negotiations, however, it soon became apparent exactly why the German diplomat missions had been so passive. Our powerful economic crash has shackled the Empire and the rest of the Reichspakt, and its ripples have reached Lithuania as well. German investors are closing down industries and pulling out of the country. The nation is shackled by mass unemployment, and the government is completely unprepared for the crisis. We've only solved one problem. We'll only be faced with hundreds more. Okay, so we got a minor port. We need 50 political power, but we do get a naval base. So we don't actually need to build this anymore. Get this out of here. We need some Black Sea access. You know, you're not wrong. The right path? Because this is, yeah, for the Nationalist. Corporate economy, one vision. It looks like we're kind of centralizing here. Because you're like federalizing the country, you're centralizing the country. And I'm not too sure what you guys are doing. Yeah, basically, you're trying to either centralize or you're federalizing the country. So we're going to go for the federalization route. Okay, let's support struggling workers. 15th century moment. I mean, how... Are we really only making 2 guns a day? That's sad. Hey, Germany, could you, like, give me more guns? I don't know if you have any guns, but I would really appreciate if I could have any amount of firearms. Do not accept. They don't have enough guns themselves. Fine. Actually, can I see how many guns you guys have? You have 7 guns. Okay, well, if you have 7 guns, then I can kind of understand why you'd be a little bit more eh. Okay, let's go for... I think our factories suck right now. To go for the 1918 support weapons, it seems fine to me. So you have gone Syndicalist, you're still Syndicalist, and you've just gone Totalist. Is anyone else doing anything that we need to kind of be wary about? Don't know what Ukraine's planning on doing. We don't really know what Belarus is going to do. And the Baltic Duchy, I mean, it hasn't collapsed yet. It is at negative 55% stability, negative 45% stability, so that seems kind of bad. An organic Lithuanian state. Brought from all national Catholics are aligned with the Christian Democratic Party, instead it goes in vision, or even with the support for democracy. The growing new generation of religious activists and intellectuals concentrated in movements such as the Catholic Youth Journal, having forgotten the long struggle of the Lithuanian nation before the Vilna. See, it is for what it is, a state shackled by petty politicking, German domination, and social injustice. The ideals of this movement are mostly expressed in the works and activities of Anthnwam, culminating in him and many of his peers publishing the manifesto of the Young Catholic Movement to an organic state. The primary enemy of the Young Catholic Movement is a social and economic injustice spurred by the distributist influence, and in their manifesto, Messenia calls for radical land reform, redistribution of wealth, and the uprooting of the bourgeois liberal thought from the liberal Lithuanian identity. Even the Catholic Church would not be safe from redistribution. After all, one can worship Christ without gold and silk, so why should the Church hold all of its wealth when there's so much suffering that they could alleviate? In place of capitalism, they would push forward a society of economic democracy and Christian corporatism. However, they challenge syndicalists and social democrats alike by declaring that only the ethnically pure society can be socially and economically just. Then Lithuania can only be for Lithuanian, and a Lithuanian must live and die immersed in nationalism and Catholic culture. While the Nujunia Romanov or Rumuva nominally believe in democracy, they also express that temporary strong-handed leadership is necessary and even mandatory to achieve all the radical reforms. The Young Catholic Movement sits with the Lithuanian Activist Front, occupying a left-wing Christian national distributist niche. Okay. And we still have no factories to trade with anything. No, we have one factory. Let's go. How long will it take to build this one military factory? Oh, 3 years? Beautiful. Okay, technically 2.5 years. Okay, more wars are going on over there. You're mostly military stuff. Which doesn't really matter so much to me, I think. So let's relieve the farmers. And we're still about half a year away from our election. I mean, the Christian Democrats are still the most popular party here. Poland has fallen to nationalism. The class of the Polish government following a Black Monday disaster, Poland found itself in complete anarchy with many different political factions vying for power. So Poland's got national populist, which typically means that they will join up with the Russians when the World War begins, the Second Weltkrieg. So it puts us in an interesting spot. I mean, we kind of have to kill Poland at some point. We do have military access through Ukraine. Yeah, Viras steers right. While all of the LAF seek a free Lithuania for foreign influence, others raise the question of how its subjugation happened in the first place, how to avoid it a second time. This movement, the most right-wing faction of the LAF, known as the Viras, the Wheel, named after the nationalist journal their followers took over in the 1930s, and their leader is the writer and ideologue Vilnius Elantas. Elantas declared that it is not enough for Germany to break free from German domination. The goal of the LAF should be to form a truly national ideology, to liberate Lithuanians spiritually, culturally, as well as physically, for as long as they think like slaves and see themselves as slaves. They remain slaves. In his eyes, First National Revival was a failure. It failed to form a truly free Lithuanian state. So the Viras should be flag bearers of the second one will last forever. It disdains Christianity, believing it to be a foreign influence imposed upon Lithuanians, and instead looks towards pagan traditions, which in Latva's eyes are the truest expression of Lithuanian national identity. It idealizes a dream where the Lithuanian nation is subservient to a true national society, their single unquestionable leader, the Vedas, whose citizens are willing to give their life for the nation, which worships tradition of time immemorial instead of the psychosis of democracy. Despite their totalitarian intentions, it maintains liberal economic intentions. Its leaders, such as the most Sesvikius, expressed that the Lithuanian national revival must create a society where every Lithuanian can achieve well-being through his own efforts, individual innovation. The Viras movement sits with the Lithuanian Access Front, occupying the far right wing, totalitarian nationalist niche. So yeah, the whole thing, the LAF is just the national populace. Alright, what's going on? We're playing Lithuania, that's what's going on. You missed out on the election. Sorry, Kefabis, you weren't allowed to vote on, we didn't go Nat Pop. We're still only in 1936. But we had an election and see which path we would go. And the winner was the Christian Democrats. So we're just going to basically kind of maintain the status quo. Okay, let's open up the coffers. Why does Lithuania look so swole? It's just what Lithuania looks like. Virgin Christian Democrats. Well, they won the election fair and square via basically a coin flip. Also, left KMT's actually done pretty well for themselves. Anshing's fighting a two-front war. Chinese Union has risen up against Germany's Asia. And actually, yeah, let's go for our minor port. In 90 days, we can actually have a naval base in our country. And allows us to actually trade with people who are not our direct neighbors. Or I guess also that we have a land route with. And who do we want to trade with? I guess, trading with the United States wouldn't be bad. But I mean, they're going to have a civil war very, very soon. Who do you think is going to get elected as president of the United States? We're hoping that it does not lead to a CSA victory, for obvious reasons. Okay, civil war is now erupted into Arabia. History Lithuania. Okay, the marshals hold on. Belgium's declared its independence. And edited by young historian Adolphus Bakota. The History of Lithuania is a defining work of Lithuanian historiography, condensing the history of the country from its foundation in the 13th century to modern day in one book, which is an easy read for the average consumer. Okay, thank you for the 5 political power. I mean, we haven't really been able to do much with political power. The only thing we've done so far is build a port, and that's still just on its way. It'll be read. Okay, Xi'an cliques erupted in the Civil War. We do got more research speed. Let's go with the radio. I wonder what they're going to actually do. Well, hopefully they just go for embrace pluralism. Has Lithuania always been this big? No, this was a new update. They got, I think, these 2 states. This used to be part of Poland, this used to be part of White Ruthenia. I think the update came out last weekend? This weekend, I guess? If I'm not mistaken. Let's go for 37 industry tax. I mean, so it's already October. We're close enough anyway. I didn't bite Poland. The Kaiserreich developers bit Poland. It's a different situation entirely. 2 building slots. We removed German economic dominance, but right now that's only a it's a negative 0.1 political power. It's not that bad. Actually, getting to steel would be good because I do need steel. Lithuania needs a little bit of steel production. Why is it this guy? Is it just me, or does he look like he'd be like an actor that plays like the devil? Like if you just paint his head red and gave like 2 little horns, he'll be really good at like a 1930s movie as Satan. Maybe that's just me though. We're actually making now 3.4 rifles per day. Gun production is through the freaking roof. You know what? Get rid of support weapons for now. We need more guns. I think for maybe our next playthrough, I'm trying to think of like who we want to play off in the future. I think our next playthrough is actually going to be Bhutan. I've heard they've actually added a lot of content to Bhutan recently.